Lesotho will be hosting its own Mining Indaba from the 25th to the 26th of this month. Now, the event, which will be held under the theme, The Future of Mining in the Global Landscape, is expected to cast a spotlight on the role and the significance of mining in the country. The Ministry of Natural Resources will be delivering the opening address and unveil its turnaround strategy for Lesotho's economy growth. Now, the Lesotho Minister of Natural Resources, Mohlomi Moleko, is in studio to discuss matters relating to mining as the country gets closer to that Mining Indaba, as well as give us an update on the Lesotho Highlands Water Project between Lesotho and South Africa. So good to have you. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Leon, and good morning to your viewers.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure. And I mean, obviously, when we look at mining within Lesotho, I mean, we talk about some of the biggest resources, of course, being diamonds, water as well. We know that as South Africans, some uranium, basalt as well. But diamond mining industry has been really in existence since the late 1950s, but it hasn't been a smooth journey. That we do know. But it seems that the sector may have picked up. Let's talk about the value of diamonds. What do experts think about this, the exports, the GDP for Lesotho?
Well, diamonds play a significant role in the economy of Lesotho and contribute a lot to the GDP. But unfortunately, under the current circumstances or economic climate, we now have things like synthetic diamonds which are competing with the natural diamonds. So what we have to do now is to, us in Lesotho as a country, is to try and see if we can get more mines online in terms of diamonds, do more exploration for coal, shale gas, oil, because we have studies that indicate that there is shale gas, there is oil, but the question is it commercially viable to actually exploit these minerals?
Which is where we're sort of going, and perhaps maybe I could come back to asking you to paint a picture of what it contributes to the GDP of Lesotho and how much exports contribute as well in terms of natural resources.
Yes, well, I keep getting different figures. Yesterday I was asked the same question and I said maybe 3% of the GDP, it contributes 3% of the GDP. But people in the industry were correcting me, saying, no, it's probably between 6 and 10% of the GDP. And here we are talking about 4 mines. So if you can imagine, if they are contributing, say, let's say 10%, if we can double them or triple them, it means that industry would be contributing, say, to 20% of the GDP. So you can actually see that there should be great focus on actually sustainably exploiting the mineral resources and beneficiating at the same time. But obviously taking care of also the communities around the mines.
Where did the country go wrong in terms of not using this to its advantage? I mean, if there's the potential of that much to the GDP and growing it and bettering the country and the lives of those living there, why hasn't this been exploited from, I suppose, the beginning of time?
Well, I think we are in the shadow of a big brother, or if I may put it that way. South Africa has probably more resources, mineral resources than Lesotho, and it's far bigger. So when investors come into the region, I think probably they've been thinking South Africa, with all its infrastructure, the ports, not necessarily looking at this small island within South Africa, Lesotho, approximately 30,000 square kilometers. They were just ignoring it. You could even ask the question, why couldn't we have made Lesotho a tax haven? Because if you look at the Lesotho taxes, the tax rates, they are lower than South Africa. You could actually set up your head offices in Lesotho and the industries here and create some kind of tax haven. But these things have not, business people have not really been thinking about them.
And it's important we do think about these things because, I mean, you know, before we came on air, you and I were talking about collaboration between African countries, and that's something that seems to be missing. I mean, this is, you know, it would be obvious, and it would be something that one would think would be happening, but it certainly isn't. Particularly, we're talking about the SADC regions as well, and more participation with one another and collaboration. But I want to also talk a little bit more about the whole mineral issue, and we talked to how it benefits the people of Lesotho. We'll leave the rest of Africa, but Lesotho, you want to grow the industry, obviously, but the wealth seems to be exported and the people don't necessarily benefit. How are you helping or hoping that this is going to assist the people of Lesotho?
Yeah, look, we can't shy away from thinking that a lot of the investments coming to the country are foreign direct investments. Locally, we don't have the financial capacity to do these mines. But what we have to do is to try and set up a platform for local people to go into the industry and assist them in getting the finance. But to try and say block foreign direct investment and say local we can do the mines, it's going to be a big challenge unless government itself puts in the money from the fiscus.
But certainly, I mean, when we look at diamond mining, it's not a secret. It's glaring that populations are not benefiting from the African resources that we have here. And I mean, diamonds being one of them. It may not be that big at the moment in Lesotho, but you obviously are hoping that this is going to be bigger and bigger. But the question is, we know there'll be collaboration with foreign direct investment, but surely the people of Lesotho should be the biggest beneficiaries.
Yeah, well, I don't like the people saying that people are not benefiting. Because if you have an industry that's contributing, say, 10% of the GDP, what are these roads being built with? The clinics, the health centers? It's the contribution of those mines. But it's almost like people want to individually benefit, you know. And I'm saying for those who want to individually benefit directly from the mines, the door is open for them to come to the ministry, apply for the concessions. We'll help them, even identify some of the investors for them, like we are about to do in terms of this Mining Indaba. So people are benefiting, but they want to get the share to be increased, that benefit, you know.
Which is fair, don't you think? I mean, because at the end of the day, I mean, we look at African governments, Lesotho, we look at many other countries. Obviously, we're just talking Lesotho with, you know, just over a population of 2 million people. And it's you see the struggles of the people. It's there. I mean, all of us can see this. Where is that strength to change the livelihood of people? We're not just talking that they can live, you know, hand to mouth, that actually build a better future and build their lives and create wealth in the people. Yeah,
I think it's something I keep thinking of and seeing how can we do it. You know, sometimes as a thought, I say probably some of the royalties that we are charging the mines, a certain percentage should be taken to develop the communities around those mines. You know, I know the mines are already they have social responsibility, they build schools, they assist the communities, but maybe government, in terms of its own portion of the royalty, should actually make an intentional decision to say a certain percentage of that royalty should be plowed back into those communities.
Well, certainly. I mean, one would think that would be a decision taken. I suppose as the Minister of Mineral Resources, it's a duty up to you as well. And also in terms of the country's policies with regard to small-scale miners, because therein it lies a solution too, that you have local industries that are able to get the wealth and keep the wealth in the country, as opposed to, and I understand it is obviously foreign investors that come in, they have the capacity and a lot of money to come and do, but does the government support the smaller miners in the bigger picture of things?
I'll say we do in this way. We've been issuing licenses for alluvial mining, but where we need to do a solid framework is when we talk about artisanal mining. Because here you find that people want us to designate certain areas, then they go and just mine. Now the challenge is they can mine, but how do you put them, for instance, within the tax net? How do you stop illegal diamonds, blood diamonds and things like that infiltrating the system, and then we as a country being told that we do not abide by the Kimberley process. And then then there's a risk of us exporting our diamonds if we do not abide by international law. So what we are trying to figure out is, do we do artisanal mining in terms of cooperatives so that we can actually regulate them? Or do you let one person just go and dig and say, I found this diamond. How do you know he got it illegally somewhere and said he found it in that area? So that's the challenge we are currently having, and we are trying to see how we solve it.
One of the big challenges, and it's no secret to you, and certainly for South Africa as well, is illegal foreigners coming and mining in the mines here in South Africa. And Lesotho migrants, unfortunately, have been at the center of these discussions as well, which have led to violence. It's illegal mining. There's a lot of death associated with this. Gangsterism, in a way, as well, the whole Zama issue. And this is a big problem that is plaguing both countries and communities, particularly that are living here in South Africa. I know that one of the points of discussion in this Indaba is fostering positive relationships with countries employing Lesotho migrant laborers. My question to you is that what are you and South Africa doing, our countries, to eradicate this? Because these laborers and illegal miners are terrorizing communities in South Africa.
Yeah, I think we've started the conversations because that's a very sensitive issue, a very complex issue, a very serious issue that needs to be addressed honestly and transparently between the governments and also the mining houses. It does not only affect South Africa in terms of the crimes being committed. Just in the last 3 months, I think in Lesotho we've had about 169 deaths. So the government is taking it very seriously. I've talked with the Premier of the Eastern Cape discussing the issue. I've talked with the Minister of Mineral Resources. I've even discussed it a bit with the President Ramaphosa last year, I think April, when I went to see him as a special envoy of the Prime Minister. So the conversation is starting, but my hope is now for us to try and formalize that discussion, because it would help for us to collaborate and see how we address this issue. Because the whole, take it as a cartel or a company. The whole business model is in South Africa. The buyers, the sellers, the banking system that's paying the money to these people, but the effect of that is maybe the crimes being committed back at home here in South Africa. So it's in our best interest to not tiptoe around it, not shy away from talking about it openly. We need to talk about it. Probably we should have a summit just discussing it.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, because it is a major issue that's affecting a lot of communities that, as I have mentioned, have been terrorized by this. I mean, we've seen people, these Zamazamas walking through the streets, shooting guns in neighborhoods and things like this. But as you say, we will need to discuss this as a matter of interest. Now we're running out of time, and I can't end this interview without talking about the Highlands Project, because this is a very big issue, and South Africa is experiencing immense water problems. As we know, Lesotho, very rich in water. That's a big thing, and the relationship between South Africa and Lesotho with regard to that is big. The Lesotho Highlands Project, there have been a lot of delays in this, but the whole thing is meant to be started later on this year. How are things? Are we ready to kick this off? I know it's going to be sort of a 6-month process to get that whole system going properly.
No, in actual fact, we issued, for phase 2 of the project, we issued the 10 contracts for the building of the dams and the tunnel in 2022. Yeah. So it's underway, but we're about 11 months behind schedule. 3 weeks ago, I think 3 weeks or a month ago, the Minister of Water from South Africa, Tate Senzo Mkunu, was in Lesotho just to see the progress. And I was telling him that I think we should probably even look at whether we could give water to the border towns, Fixburg, Clockland, Forestburg, and those towns around there, because they are also having serious challenges with water. I was saying, let's expand the project and see how we can alleviate the water challenges.
What are we talking about here? I mean, when we look at, I know that I was reading somewhere, I'm trying to get those statistics as to how much water will actually be through this project, through this highlands, this tunnel that we're talking about here. It's a massive tunnel, a 37-kilometer Lesotho Highlands Water Project tunnel. The work is meant to begin on this, and it's meant to be increasing the amount of water that does come through. Do you have more details about the project? Perhaps maybe when we can see this. Are we sure that this will be sort of a 6-month process? Because I think a lot of people are worrying that things may go wrong and that might even hit the supply of water even more.
Look, the project, for the first phase, water is supposed to flow in 2028, but we are delayed. The project is fully underway. If you go there and see, we've built hotels, access roads, advanced infrastructure, we've built the diversion tunnels. It's at full throttle, if I put it that way.
Yeah. Yes. So it's a promising prospect of that. So this is something that is ongoing, and work should be starting very, very much so.
No, not should be starting.
It has started.
I'm saying it has started.
But the actual shutdown.
Or the shutdown.
I'm talking about the shutdown.
No, the shutdown will be October.
That's what I'm referring to.
For 6 months up to March. This will be for maintenance of the tunnels.
Of that tunnel.
In South Africa and in Lesotho.
Yes.
Yeah, but in terms of phase 2, the work, construction work
already has begun.
No,
absolutely, it's ongoing. No, that goes without saying. So, Minister, as we wrap this up, so this is back to your Indaba that's taking place. This is, of course, happening at the end of March.
April.
Of April. Is anybody able to attend? Who will be attending? Tell us about those logistics.
We'll have people from all over the world, as far as I'm concerned, looking just at the invites.
All right. Yes. Good. Happy. Good. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
And may it be a success for you, and most importantly, the people of Lesotho. May they benefit well from this. This, of course, was the Lesotho Minister of Natural Resources, Minister Mohlomi Moleko, discussing matters relating to mining. This as the country gets closer to the Mining Indaba, also giving us an update on that Lesotho Highlands Water Project, Phase 2 in full force, and of course that shutdown on that pipe scheduled for October. But again, promises that things will go smoothly, amongst many people worrying that this may be a worrying situation for particularly the province of Gauteng, that we may see more water shortages in amongst all the problems. But again, assured that this won't be the issue. Minister, thank you for joining us.